The reason why your bench sucks off your chest because you suck at lowering it. So maybe we have to figure out a way to implement max effort work that's going to focus more on eccentric. The one thing about the reps is going to be addressed here. And because this is where it always goes. Like, well, 3 is max effort, 5 is max effort, 1's max effort. If it's 90%, 3 is definitely max effort. There's always people that have their statements, their opinions, and facts or whatever they want to be able to call out there. So when you're looking at the program considerations, why is it being used? So there's the first thing that has to be considered. So if it's a max effort exercise that's being implemented into the training program, why? That has to be answered, because that why determines, is 5 okay? Is 3 okay? Is 1 okay? Is none okay? Is it even necessary? Why is it there? Well, it's there just because, the training program says it has to be there. For what? What purpose does it serve being there? Because when you have to auto-regulate whatever training that you're doing, especially when you're talking about a max effort type exercise, that's critical. And if you don't even know why the fuck it's being put in there, then how do you make any determining decisions based upon the simplest things like 1, 3, or 5 reps? So what the purpose of it is matters. So that has to be put in there. When I list these next considerations, these are all things that have to be taken into consideration to why that movement is there, why that day is there, what exercise is actually being used, what rep ranges are being used for that exercise, what is the cycling of that exercise, what is the frequency of that exercise. So if you're looking at it from a health history or a program design element, and there's certain considerations and certain things that have to be asked among every big rock that's part of a program. So in conjugate, there's big rocks, right? There's a max effort rock, there's a dynamic effort rock, then there's, a recovery rock, and then the supplemental accessory rock. So these are big fucking rocks. And a lot of people don't even know what the hell the rock is there for, and what it's supposed to do, just that they're supposed to do it. So with that, and that same rock is to get out of the conjugate and to go into more block style training. That rock now is it's a whole phase. So if you don't know what that phase is for, then how do you know what the reps are supposed to be and where they're supposed to go from there? So why is it being used is the first question that has to be answered. Now, things to consider into answering that is, what is the specificity? So when people will talk about specificity of just training main exercises, max effort exercises, dynamic effort exercises, or even the main core exercises that you're using to train lifts, if we're just talking powerlifting, they're talking about specificity. Well, specificity to what? Specificity to the movement plane, specificity to the muscles that are being used, specificity to the joint angles, or specificity to the contraction mode. Which one is it? Right? Because now if we're talking about just true max effort work, this is a consideration that's important to know, because this consideration, if we get outside of just movement planes or muscle groups and joint angles, and let's just say contraction mode, there is a reason to have eccentric only max effort exercises. There is a reason to have concentric only, pin pull, stuff like that, max effort exercises. There is a reason to have isometric type exercises put into the program on those days based upon the contraction mode, which is based on that why. What happens when you have a sticking point? on a main lift. Why is that sticking point there? You know, is the reason why your bench sucks off your chest because you suck at lowering it? So maybe we have to figure out a way to implement max effort work that's going to focus more on eccentric work or isometric work and phases down on the eccentric than we do have to focus on fucking pin presses or board presses, or things that work in a different area of that contraction mode. So the specificity has to be broader than just the movement. You know, it's basically you have the squat exercise, and I've spoken about specificity on past podcasts when you're talking about comp lifts. So I'm not going to go back through that whole discussion there, but in short, if you're talking about a comp lift, true specificity would be actually walking the weight out, waiting for a squat command, doing 1 rep, making sure it's to judge depth and having a judge calling you in. That's true specificity. A double is not specific anymore. So everything's going to be outside of a certain degree of specificity. If you're talking movement plane, technical aspects, that's 1 degree of specificity. The other degree of specificity on the joint angles, contraction mode, or muscle groups is going to play there too. So you've heard others say your hamstrings are weak or your lower back is weak, so you need to do, this, good mornings is a max effort exercise because that's what's holding you back because your lower back sucks, okay? So that's more muscle group exercise specific, muscle group specificity. In a way, I can say it is kind of movement specificity, kinda, but once you get out in front and bend over too much, that specificity decreases quite a bit. So then the specificity is more falling on a muscle group. So you have to determine which is it that this max exercise is being selected for. Is it the muscle group? Is it the movement plane? Is it the contraction mode? Falls back onto what is the weakness of the actual fucking movement that you're trying to build. If you like this video and want to see more like it, click here.